Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Jim and Sam Town Square. I'm Scott King. Jim and Sam fans know me from the Forbes articles, and I'm joined, as always, by Emmy Award-winning television producer Chris Cangilla. This episode recapping week 1 of March 2024. Chris, another great week. Jim and Sam, I thought. What'd you think, man?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, of course. But before we even get into the Jim and Sam week, man, your article came out in Forbes magazine on Jim and Nikki, and it was fantastic, man. Congratulations. What a really cool article.
Thank you. They were awesome. And because we had them on, they were, of course, great. I mean, just kind of what we've talked about on the show and in our interview with them. I tried to do something different. I think I did in the story, but yeah, I mean, Nikki's just hilarious and as honest as Jim, and it was cool. It was more of a responsibility to kind of get this story right, and obviously a lot different than the other stories I did on Jim. Talked to a lot of comedians, so I'm really happy how it turned out, and I know Jim is too. So
it was great. I mean, you reached out to so many different comedians and really got their perspective on it, and some of Jim's friends too. And it's just, well, I guess many of the comedians are Jim's friends, but it was just kind of a cool take on it, and then of course. It was great that, Jim mentioned you in the article and had high praise for you during the show. So that was very cool.
Yeah, I appreciate his kind words, and Sam chimed in as well. So it was that's always great. Those guys give me or both of us a salute. It's always means a lot. So
we love the rubs. We just love those rubs.
Love a good rub. Love a good pumping of the tires.
There you go.
And we'll get rolling here and pull back the curtain. If I seem a little off, I have had trouble sleeping. I was telling Chris before the show. Thursday.
Well, the boys talk about that too, being sleep deprived.
Yes,
so we
sleep deprived.
can talk about that too.
But we're getting to that later. I'll tie that in there for sure. So after the shout out, we got to a starlet that you're probably more familiar with than myself. I mean, there's like you can't even like roll your eyes when Jim brings up these old like movies and actors because it's so like endearing and hilarious the way he does it. So you probably know more about a Miss Susan Anton from Cliffhangers than I do. I might have seen her in Baywatch. Sam pointed out she was on Baywatch, but
she was fantastic. There was a whole group of these girls from our youth, and I'm speaking of Jim and my youth, that era. You had Cheryl Tiggs and Cheryl Ladd and Farrah Fawcett and all the greats, and Susan Anton was definitely one. So yeah. Definitely remember. I don't remember that Cliffhanger show that he remembered very well. No. I mean, he didn't really remember it. He thought it was something else, but we had a nice caller, let him know about it. But what I do remember with fond things, and I don't think you have this memory at all, but Battle of the Network Stars. Did you ever see those ever?
No, I heard about it a lot. Maybe some other like shows that were showing a bunch of TV shows, but like, I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
So they used to, and this is, of course, before social media, we never really got a chance to see our TV stars that much. Maybe in a magazine every once in a while or an interview on, Johnny Carson or something. But they would get them all together, and whatever sitcom or drama you're on ABC, you'd go up against the people at CBS and the people at NBC, and they would have, swimming competitions. They'd have, badminton. They'd have all these kind of games, like almost like an Olympics. For the stars of network television. They called it Battle of the Network Stars. And it was so much fun. And, this is the 70s and 80s, and you really tuned in for all that stuff. And a lot of the women back then were just gorgeous, like Susan Anton. And the swimsuits were nice, too. So, yeah, as a young man, we remember that with fondness in our hearts.
Very nice. They should do something like that now. I think it might work.
I think so.
Speaking of old shows, and this is one that I kind of got to go back and do a rewatch because I was pretty young when Larry Sanders Show was on, so I wouldn't mind going back and doing a rewatch because it had great actors and comedians on at the time. Gary Shandling was awesome on it, so I got to rewatch it. And Jim has never seen it, so
yeah, and you think he would with Colin Quinn being part of it.
Oh yeah, that's right, he was on it. Good for Colin.
It's kind of weird, but yeah.
And Judd Apatow, one of the main writers on the show.
Exactly. Yeah, so, I think that's where we're getting his first start. Yeah, it's a great show. I remember when I was starting in the TV news business, we'd always have, TVs on and stuff. We had HBO. And that's where I first got, inducted, if you will, or introduced to the Larry Sanders Show. And it was so funny because it's just such a spoof on, Johnny and David and just how weird they were. Larry had those same kind of things. So, yeah, it was a very good show. And then, the guy, can't remember his name, but the guy that's in Dodgeball that is in the wheelchair, the actor, he plays Larry's executive producer, and he's hilarious. So it's a good rewatch for sure.
Right, right. Was that the guy from Barry? Is that the actor from Barry?
No, nope, not the guy from
Okay, I was
Barry.
gonna say.
But they have the same kind of thing. I think not Rip Torn. That's maybe it is Rip Torn, but that's the actor that
Oh,
was in the wheelchair. He was Patches O'Houlihan in
Patches
Dodgeball.
O'Houlihan's right. That's right.
There you go.
And speaking of Jim, and this has me, we'll touch on it. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. So Jim's Edgar ringtone, uh, I don't think it was going off. I think he told them about it and then played it. Travis called him on the show, and it's your phone is what is
Your
it?
phone is ringing. Your phone is yeah. I
Yeah,
guess it went off at times, like when he's in a restaurant
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
his lovely wife hates it. So of course he loves it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
that was a fun talk. I didn't know Jim had those ringtones up on his site, and that led to Sam bringing up, the old Crazy Frog and the ringtones that came up in the '90s, and you could get anything all of them seem to have Axel F, which is the theme from Beverly Hills Cop,
Yeah.
as the music behind it, and they just do that. But do you remember Crazy Frog? That's more your era.
No, I don't.
No?
I really don't. I just something I didn't hear about.
Yeah, I remember, I remember ringtones back when we had Razor phones. Do you remember Motorola Razor phone? That was
First,
like the cool
that's
phone
the
to
first
get.
like cool phone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the ringtone made me realize that Jim's characters never leave Jim. He might not
No.
be doing as many cameos or doing them as much on air, but we've been hearing some unsolicited Doug Bell lately pop in. The ringtone's there. I think it's been there for a long time. And now that things have settled in with Nikki getting in the US, the marriage being announced, they just had a nice publicity tour. She'll probably be on the show soon. They said she's a big Sandy Kane fan, but I think that now that things have calmed down in Jim's life, we're hearing a little more. I think the characters are gonna come back. I
I
think
hope so.
I think so. He's talked about Chip more. What do you think?
Yeah, I really do. And Sam mentioned when he was on our podcast about, he would love to get a Not Sam and Doug Bell podcast going on, and at least a
Yeah,
couple appearances, which we would love to
yeah,
see. And you bring up a good point about Nikki, and I'm just going back to your article. Something that I didn't know about that you kind of brought to light is that her challenges getting into the United States came from an old, weird kind of marijuana charge, but it wasn't possession or something
right.
that she had the difficult. And I didn't know that at all. So, thanks for shedding some light on that and finding out that, now she's here, she's legal, everything is smooth. That, yeah, we got to get her in.
Everything's on the up and up. Uh, no segue here to one of the greatest musicians of all time, but I loved because we always talk about like the old and new school with Jim and Sam. I love that they both like Elvis and could
Yeah.
both name a bunch of Elvis songs. I know you're a big music guy. You have to. I'm sure you love Elvis, but I grew up hearing about Elvis, listening to music, and then many times my family would go to Elvis night at Sox Park.
Oh,
Call it
cool.
Comiskey still. It's Comiskey,
Yeah.
but it was awesome. They would always have like the best impersonator play Elvis music all night, have like the flying Elvis's parachute in. Like it was honestly like one of the best sport events you can go to. We went every year for a while. So yeah, big Elvis guy here. How about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. And the guys in the studio not only appreciate his music, but they also appreciate when he forgets lyrics or just his lifestyle towards the end there and being heavy. They just really celebrate all of, to take a line from Office Space. They celebrate his whole catalog,
Right, right.
and they really enjoy everything that he does, and especially those live performances.
Yeah, I think Jim and Troy wouldn't mind getting in there and looking at the toilet at
Yeah.
Graceland either.
Yeah, that was a weird. Yeah, that they're going to open up. Maybe they have them open up the second floor for tours and get a checkout. And then of course they talked about Jim's favorite actor encounter. Yeah, well, the guy from what's his name from oh gosh, he was married
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Yeah, in that great story.
Huh?
Huh? Yeah. Um, but having him tell his, what he was talking about going up there and trying on Elvis's clothes and stuff. That was just a weird thing. He's an Elvis fan and then married Priscilla's daughter. What's her name? I forget people's names. I'm old. I'm like Jim.
Marie, right?
Lisa Marie. There
Lisa
we
Marie.
go. Yeah.
Um,
Rest in peace.
Side notes, Nicholas, I just saw a rumor. I think a lot of these rumors can be true with who's in Deadpool 3, bringing back a lot of the Fox Marvel guys. Nicolas Cage is the latest one. That I'm 50-50 on. I can see going either way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like
Oh,
we don't need his Ghost Rider. I think
no.
Nicolas Cage is a little kind of ridiculous now, but he's making a good living being ridiculous now.
I always loved him and Cameron Poe from the Con Air movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. How's it going?
I like that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, if
yeah,
you
yeah. He had some. I mean, he has
yeah,
some great
some
movies.
good hits, you bet.
Um, Speaking of Troy and his love for Graceland, his alter ego, Quanstradumbass, the predictions are not quite panning out. Do you remember how old some of these predictions are? Like 2 years old, some of them?
Some of them, I think
Yeah.
they really did this probably back in late summer, early fall, where they wrote down a lot of the stuff because he
Right,
was saying
right,
about how COVID would come back. He said,
right.
that we'd have a work from home mandate and what had more mandatory vaccinations or vaccines, I should say. Um, so yeah, he missed some mark on a couple of those things. And it was quite funny how they're, maybe it was wishful thinking of Troy hoping that'd be working from home again. But they talked about some of the things that they kept around after COVID, too. This led to some of that conversation and some, COVID restrictions. And the ones that they hate, I kind of hated too. The QR code for menus at restaurants. I know it's easier for them to change stuff, but yeah, I really like the guys, I really want a real menu in my hand. I don't want to have to go through my
Yeah,
phone
of
and try to
course.
figure out what I'm going to eat. And then this
Yeah.
came up too, and I'm all for supporting servers. My daughter is a server in a restaurant. I don't want to tip for everything. If I go pick something up, they turn the little keypad towards you like for a tip. I'm like,
Oh,
I
I'll be
just
there. Yeah,
yeah, I ordered something, I picked it up. I mean, I appreciate you putting it together, but isn't that included in the fee of the food? So yeah,
of course, of
some tipping
course.
is kind of out of line, and that came about through COVID because we
Yeah.
all wanted to share and help people that were working, in restaurants during that time.
Yeah, in the last few months, I went to a Bulls and Blackhawks game, and they turn it around, and they already have 20% selected. Then you have to go to like into custom. Like I'll stay here. I'll be here all day. I'm not giving you.
And that's at the
Don't
just
trick
where
me.
you get snacks on the concourse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. You have to like manually do zero.
Oh,
So
geez.
I'm not looking like an a-hole. Like
No.
this is you don't tip for this.
Yeah.
But so anyways, yeah, with Troy's predictions, and I gotta give a shout out to Trav Dog. Not only has he done a good job of keeping the Quanstradumbass predictions, a list of those, but we know he's doing the new what Jim loves and hates. And
Love it.
Sam's also kind of like, tossing him out there, reminding him. So I love that they got these lists going. One of the best
Absolutely.
parts of the show. Another great part of the show, kind of a recurring bit or hit, is the squatting. And to be honest, I was getting a little tired of the squatting keep coming up because I mean it just says what it is, but they really kind of dove into a case and like an old movie about squatting
Yeah.
with some great actors, and it really piqued my interest. And squatting is a ridiculous thing. It's like, what do you have to do to keep someone out of your house?
I never understand the rules behind it and the laws and why it's allowed, but I guess some Georgia lawmakers were
Yeah.
making some new laws that would make it a criminal offense, and I'm all for it. And yeah, it's really really weird, and I don't understand it, and it's not right. And yeah, just crazy stuff there. Hey, before we move on, one thing I wanted to bring up is the 10th anniversary of something that we thought was very, very funny.
Oh, oh my
The
God.
old 10th anniversary of Cakehorn.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about your feelings on that.
It is a very memorable bit. I love that Sam loves it so much.
Yeah,
He always brings it, like he might bring it up a couple times a month still, but he's got to definitely bring it up on the 10th anniversary. It's great. And I didn't
definitely.
listen to Ron and Fez a whole lot. I would, when they were on Jim and Sam or on Opie and Anthony, like those are always great segments. Ron's a great interviewer,
Yes,
but yeah, it's hilarious. It was just organic. Like he really thought that was the
the
proper
word.
terminology, Fezzy. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that Sam loves it. I love when they recap it for sure. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't listen to them as much as well, except when, they would talk about Fez. Of course we love Ronnie, but they talk about Fez on Opie and Anthony a lot. And I know he came in a Nazi outfit one time. I remember that part. But yeah, just to not really know the difference between cake horn and cake hole was a funny little bit. And it was the 10th anniversary. It's pretty cool. So also rest in peace, Fezzy.
Yeah, yeah, another tough one.
Yeah.
A tricky segue into this segment that there was a segment this week that if you were just kind of browsing around on SiriusXM and you heard Jim, give a strong opinion about why a certain kind of criminal should have a certain kind of doll so they don't, feel the need to commit a horrible crime. You would be like, what am I listening to? Like, is this
Yeah.
conversation illegal? And Sam and Travis, they kind of didn't know what to say, but they also know Jim. And Jim was
Right.
100% coming from the right place of like we need to stop this,
Deter it. Yeah.
will help stop it. But the way that he approached it, people that are familiar with the show would be like, "What?"
Yeah. I mean, I guess it comes from a Kentucky senator suggested that
Yeah,
some pedophiles have kid dolls instead of attacking children. And yeah, Jim went a little too long on his support for this idea. And it was like, so you can kind of feel that Sam and Travis are like, yeah, I don't know if that's the right way to stop all this.
yeah,
But it was a
yeah.
nice discussion. I mean,
It
they
was
respect
really
each other.
interesting.
Yeah, they respect each other, so they listen to each other, and it was cool. But yeah, it was a little weird.
Jim was just saying, "Why not get him out there to these deviants so maybe it stops?" And Sam and Travis like, "No, that'll just encourage it more." So I probably
I'm
agree with
leaning a little more towards,
them, but
yeah.
Jim is really good at always presenting his points, and I mean, it wasn't an argument or having a discussion, and if it turns into an argument, we know fired up Jimmy's awesome as well.
Yeah, and it's a part of the thing about abstinence. People are still going to do
Yeah,
what they want to do.
right,
We
right.
just need to find a way to protect the kids for sure.
Absolutely. Troy, his feelings might need a little protection
Yeah.
because he is we know he's he's happily engaged to a lovely lady, seemingly a wonderful woman who is a great chef, and I know he's enjoying that. Everything's going well there, but he was a big Swiftie, and it's unfortunate. Things they play things up. They're great at making bits, but there might be a little love lost here with Taylor Swift, and he's not too keen on her man, is he, Chris?
No, I think Troy just got a little burned out, and then the arrival of Travis and Travis's Pfizer ad really upset Troy. And you think about it, and the guys kind of made the point. It's like, no, I think just Troy may be jealous of this jock once again. That's weeding in on the artistic, Troy side of it. And just like he did in high school, the football captain that he got into that altercation with. So yeah, maybe that's a little part of it. But Troy needs to just he has to replace his melancholy feelings somehow. And he thought that maybe Taylor would help him, but I think now he's in what Sam I think called his sad boy phase. So Troy's is in his sad boy phase, and he might be replacing some of the Taylor love with Billy Joel and listening to Billy Joel to have him kind of get in touch with his inner child.
I think it's a good move. He doesn't want to be reminded anymore of Taylor and Travis does remind him of the poop punch from high
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
So it's good to listen to some Billy Joel, absolutely. Sam touched on a lovely host of SNL this past weekend, and I was lucky enough to also interview this person, and both my story with Jim and Sydney Sweeney ran on Forbes site this week. So I just gotta say, pull back the curtain. Huge interview. Happy to do it. Her publicist, or she has a personal publicist. This is what I do too. Publicity
Right.
is tricky, and the company that she's promoting a new drink with, Buy, that they gave me a sample, is really good.
Yeah, we've had that stuff. It's good.
He buys good stuff. But anyways, there's a lot of strings, and I figure, oh, just the phone call. I try to do Zooms, I have a conversation, put
Right.
a video on YouTube. But if someone as big as Sydney Sweeney, there's very few people I'll just do a phone call. Would with
Yeah.
her, but she tried to Zoom, like unsolicited. She tried to do a Zoom so we could chat. Saw her for a little bit. She had difficulties. I'm like, oh no, I appreciate you trying to do that. Let's just talk on phone. And she was super cool and
Well,
nice.
first of all, let me just feel sad for you that you didn't get to see Sydney Sweeney when
A
you were
little bit,
talking with
a little
her.
bit.
Yeah,
I did a little
I
bit.
would be. Oh yeah, I just would be sad
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, she was hosting on Saturday Night Live this past weekend, so it's cool that you are getting this timely article out on her. And Sam had a funny take about the Saturday Night Live episode. He was like, yeah, she was terrific. She was just fantastic. I didn't see any of her on Saturday Night Live. I just know that she was terrific. Of course, he's referring to all the memes that just were all over, Twix, if you will.
Right, right, right. And I will say, Forbes did not share the story with arguably the biggest actor in the world on their social media, with an exclusive and about SNL and her new movie. I don't think she's definitely hasn't talked about SNL yet. They
Right.
were busy cutting clips of Huma talked at the some Forbes summit, so they're busy putting out those clips. So as of the day after the story ran, have not promoted it. So if people would like to, please check that out and maybe give
Yeah,
them.
well, just always support our buddy Scott, no matter
Thank
what
you.
he's doing, please.
I am furious about
Yeah,
that.
I
Send out
can
some
tell,
emails.
and
Yes,
I'm sorry about that, brother. It happens quite a bit in our business, but
yes,
yeah,
it does.
just support Scott. And he's a real person. He's not an
I am
AI person.
an
Look
actual
at him. He's
person.
right
It's not
there with us.
AI.
Yes.
And speaking of my madness, March Madness is starting, so I'm really excited about it. I don't know a bunch about all the teams. I follow Illinois when they're winning. They're awesome this year. But we might be hearing more about it on the show. We might have Jim do a bracket, and maybe the guys will do one, right?
Yeah, it sounds really kind of cool that they're interested in it. I always misremember on Opie and Anthony, brackets, brackets, brackets. I think Anthony would always get kind of upset about the brackets and the bracket talks
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
fun.
But yeah, but for them to support it now is great. Of course, my son graduated from the University of Kentucky. Kentucky's doing well this year, so I hope that they make it, and that would be very cool. But yeah, their Jim might be doing a bracket. And it sounds like the whole studio gang is going to get into it, and I just want to throw our hats in the. We'll be part of your bracket. This will be fun, and if we win, that they'd offer us a chance to come and see them in the studio. I'm just throwing that out there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one way to get us in there, it could only benefit them with our reach.
Exactly. The tens
Uh,
of people we talk to every week.
um, no segue here. I can't. I'm
Yep.
too tired to think of it. But I do love when they bring this up because it's one of my favorite shows ever, and I can just picture the homeowner getting irritated. Is the Breaking Bad house people visiting? The thing, if somebody throws a pizza on the house and you own the home now, that like I would call the cops. Like you can't like throw stuff on my property, but people want to just like check it out politely, cool. But they played. Do you remember what the video was of? They were just shooting the woman reacting in the Breaking.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And they made a good point. The guys in the studio were talking about this. It's one thing to have your house. You purchase this house knowing this, I would imagine, or maybe you didn't,
Right.
but you
Yeah. Yeah.
let them film in the house, so it's going to be a thing. So you either embrace it, or, if it's something that you don't want to have happen, change the look of the house so no one wants to go by there anymore. Make it different than what the show portrayed it as. And especially don't engage with people coming by there, because now they just go see the house and the crazy woman yelling at them. She's almost as big an attraction as the house is. So handled poorly, but made for some funny things for us to watch, some great videos.
Yes. And so I have had a similar experience where I've been to the Home Alone house twice.
Which is in our not our neighborhood, but in our
It's in the
the
area, so
Chicagoland
at North
area.
Side.
Yeah.
And most recent time took our kids, and there's a fence there. There's somebody that lives there. A lot of people, we went around the holidays. A lot of people go there around the holidays.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a landmark. And again, just like the Breaking Bad house, you know what you're buying. And I
Yeah.
saw a woman, I saw a woman, seemed like the homeowner, the gate opened up and she drove out. And I'm just like on the lawn, like, I just like
Hi, Merry
elevated to her.
Christmas.
And she's like,
Yeah,
like,
I get it. She's sick
again,
of it.
like,
Yeah.
you know
It's
what you,
part of the thing.
you
Well,
know
I
what you bought. You know what you bought.
I think it was I went to LA in 96, 97-ish, and I drove by OJ's house, where all that took place. And a little different than being a celebrated television or movie house, but yeah, they have all the signs, no parking, no standing, that kind of stuff. But I wanted to drive by it because it was just so iconic, and I did, and I moved on.
And you're a big fan of his later work as well. So.
Well, but just some of the football picks he does on X, I think, is what
Uh,
I'm a fan of.
uh, Going with my current state right now, the sleep deprivation talk. My wife and I always say, we got a Peloton. I think it's great. It's been a few. I did like 17 days straight on it after we got it. Then I got sick and completely fallen off.
Yeah.
We always say we work out in the morning. We do not because of nights like I had last night where my 3-year-old kept waking up.
So you're in a little
Get to
different
work
part
out.
of your life right
Yeah,
now. And this is the
yeah, that's true.
toughest part. And I remember I've made it through. You don't have a lot of time for yourself. If
Yeah,
the kids are up late or, get up in the morning or whatever is going on with them, they're sick, you pay the price. We've talked about that before.
yeah.
With my kids being older now, you know, it's interesting as I get older, I go to bed a little earlier too. So, it's not uncommon for me to be upstairs in bed by 9 o'clock. Ugh. But it
That's good
happens,
though.
right?
Yeah,
But I get up at 5:30, and I'm downstairs and I'm lifting and I'm on the Peloton, and it's something that I feel good about doing, because if I had to if I had to work out when I got home, from work, it just wouldn't happen. I'm just too tired that part of my day. But I'm a morning person anyway, and I'm glad that I'm able to get that workout in, because it really does give you energy going on to your day. So hopefully you'll get back into that when things calm down.
got to make it happen. I need to for my health, so we
Yeah,
keep breaking
mental and
the house.
physical for sure.
Um, there was talk of, there's always talk of Sopranos, which that's like another show I could completely rewatch. Every time they talk about the rewatches, I want to rewatch it. But I want to get your take on the booth. So it's like it seems what actually sold was the benches and the table, right? They're not going to like
Yeah.
any,
No background. I wouldn't assume. I don't know
but
for sure, but yeah.
yeah, and even despite that, my thought is you're getting the actual table and benches from, it might be beyond, arguably it might be the most talked about scene in television history, and the winning bid was $82,600. What do you think of that price?
Yeah, I think that is kind of low. I think that's where you're going. And it did seem like something obtainable for, let's say, the wealthy people, but more so, probably the top 50% of wealthy people instead of the
Yeah,
uber wealthy, and they could afford that. I mean, Sam was thinking like, I could even maybe get that, So, Jim kid for sure. But yeah, but where do you put it, right? Where is it? You got to have that space. And then do you do the mock-up of what the walls looked like? And I guess it was kind of next to a window though, right? Wasn't it? If I remember. So do you do kind
I
of a
don't remember
look
the
out there?
picture. I just remember zeroing in on the table and chairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it
So
was.
no, I just mean that in the episode itself, I think wasn't it up against a wall where a window was? I'm not sure. I
I
can't
don't
remember. But
remember.
anyway, so
Maybe.
yeah, you kind of build out the set a little bit more. I would think you want to do that. But
Yeah.
that's a cool place, man. That's a cool thing to get.
Which, and that's easy to do too. You can just kind of have your own makeshift, like kind of make it look like. So,
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully they do
exactly.
some cool with it. I think they got a great deal. Absolutely. People who did not get a great deal is those who attended Nick Swardson's show. I believe it was at Beaver Creek.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say I met Nick at there was a show Adam Sandler did at Chicago Theater a few years ago. It had Swardson, Schneider, and Norm Macdonald was a special guest, my favorite
yeah.
comedian
You
ever. I got to write some jokes for his YouTube show. It
right.
was an amazing, one of the best shows I've ever seen. And the best headliner, who, and Sandler did a bunch of great stuff, got a huge response, obviously, being Adam Sandler. Nick Swartzen mopped the floor with everyone, absolutely
Really,
destroyed. He's a monster. He basically got to where he is. Adam Sandler saw his Comedy Central special years ago, said, I need that guy writing for me, I need that guy in my movies, and the rest is history. When I met him after the show, said, hey, oh hey Nick, what, and I got a picture with him. And I think I in a previous show I saw him talk about Patrick Kane on stage, meet him at a party. I'm like, oh, I cover the Blackhawks. He's like, oh, I got Kane's number. I got him a call. Super friendly. Took a picture with me. Despite all that, he's got to cool it. Like, these are people that paid to see his show, and he said he did, I think he said he did mushrooms and was drunk or something.
yeah.
Um, I mean, he should know. And his apology, like, oh, sorry, I went to sleep, woke up on TMZ. Shouldn't do that. I think he needs a better apology. I think he's got to clean up his act. He is a great comic and a nice guy, but you
It's
can't be doing that.
it's a common story, right? These guys unfortunately are so brilliant and so funny, and then tragedy kind of happens to them. This
Yeah, and
isn't
I hope
this
it
isn't
doesn't.
tragic yet, but
Yeah,
it
I hope it's
could
not.
go that way if you don't cool it. And of
Yeah,
course, you're really going to be affected, because I'm from Colorado. Being in the Rocky Mountains, it does change you if you're drinking
right,
or
right.
using any kind of drugs,
Yeah,
because the thin air up there, you have less oxygen in your blood, and it really hits you hard. And so yeah, I mean, you got to be real careful if you're not acclimated to that climate. And so I wish him the best. I hope everything works out there. But it was a weird little bit that you saw. of his performance in Beaver Creek, which is right near Vail, for those that don't know.
Yeah, hopefully he cleans that up. um, we did get a name finally for the Jim. They're on episode 3 now of Jim and Nikki's video podcast on YouTube. I think you probably get it. I don't know if they have the audio on other platforms. I watch on YouTube. But what is the name, Chris, and how was it unveiled?
Yeah, I thought it was terrific that Jim gave the name out. He goes, and we have a name for it. And Sam's like, you do? You haven't told me, you know? Yeah, the name is Swordfight, which is perfect, absolutely perfect. I mean, in your youth, you do have sword fights with other boys when you're maybe using a urinal or a toilet, or a brother you have that with, but usually not with your wife, but it's appropriate.
Teach
And
their own.
and to each their own. And it's a great name for this podcast. And yeah, you'll only see both Jim and Nikki's podcast as well as Sam and Nicole's podcast. They're only on YouTube because I
Oh,
think they have some restrictions with
oh, you're right. Yeah, they
SiriusXM and their
can't do the audio
contracts. They can't
component.
do audio
Yeah,
only
you're right.
ones. So
You're right about
so
that.
that's why you'll be able to see it. And you know, so I guess we can all say we're on the same platform. You can get the Town Square, you can get Nikki and Jim's podcast, and you can get Sam and Nicole's podcast right here where you are right now.
Yes, on the YouTubes. Listen to everybody. And that wasn't the only show that got a name. Jim and Sam, if they stay with this, they got a new name as well. And it might have came from a posting folly from somebody. What happened?
Yeah, I think it was cool that Troy posted for, Instagram that they do every morning that, that Jim and Adam are going to have a great show today. Who's Adam? I saw that post and I'm like,
I
maybe
didn't see. I wish I saw it. I'm so jealous.
I saw it early before I listened to the show and I thought maybe, Jim was calling Sam Adam for some reason. Now, do you remember when Sam had his faux pas and when the guy came in that lost his son?
Oh my
And
God, yes.
I can't remember. Was that
Adam Walsh.
Yeah, so it was Adam Walsh. So I thought maybe they're calling him Adam for a joke. I didn't realize that that Troy just had a faux pas and just typed it in wrong. It's like, where did you get Adam for? I bet he was answering the phone. The guy's name was Adam. He's typing and he put Jim and doing the same thing and just
Right.
But yeah, I'll be tuning in next week for Jim and Adam.
Oh, I hope they stay with it. Speaking of Adam, we want to make sure, just like Jim and Sam did, that our buddy, I mean, I wish he was on our show, but, we consider him a buddy. Black Adam is okay because as they pointed out and we pointed out here is that the last few times he kind of progressively sounded worse when he called in. A great caller, very distinct voice. So we hope Adam's okay. Don't really know yet. He mentioned he's got to have some appointments, I think. So we hope.
Yes, another caller, called into the guys and saying, we haven't heard Black Adam. And remember last time you guys did, and they both, Sam and Jim, were like, yeah, that's right. We need to find out what's going on. We hope that he's doing well. So I hope we get that news, and I hope that news is good next week when we resume some shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope he's all right. And getting the best guest, only one guest this week. Donell Rawlings, who is very, very well known as a stand-up and from the Chappelle Show. I like that he, going back to kind of publicity, what happens behind the scenes. I like that he makes Jim and Sam a stop whenever he's promoting something. I feel like we just had him on, and he's a great guest, and you can tell there's a respect there for Jim. And he's got that voice, and he's a tough dude. I give Sam goes at him for the Taylor Swift stuff. I give Sam credit.
That was the best part of it.
Yeah.
Sam stuck with it and really kind of turned him around because he had some, Sam said he had some deep love for Taylor. Like, no, I didn't. I just, I can't remember. I messed with her or something. Yeah. And he denied it. And Sam kept on pressing on it. But he goes, but you said this about it, or you knew that. And he convinced him that, yeah, he does have some deep love because he started singing songs. And then, of course, we talked about this. They don't have the cameras in there. That would be a huge reason to have the cameras going. Not their fault. Jim and Sam's is SiriusXM's problem that they don't do that. But that is perfect thing to have in there. So yeah, Donell was great and really upsetting that we didn't get to see that part.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a great guest. I know he'll continue to come back. Now, getting to a line of the week, I got one. I've been better at making note of them right away when they
you have to, or they just fall out of your head
because they get lost in the shuffle there. So do you have a few or one?
I have two. Do you want to go first? Or do
Sure.
you want me? Okay, go.
Sure. And because maybe you can help. I don't remember exactly when this happened. They were talking about something, and it was something like detailed that you had to pay attention to. And Sam goes, I watch everything like I watch wrestling. And Jim goes, with a D in your hand, but he
I
didn't say D. He didn't say D.
No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't remember that, but how they got to that subject too, but that was a great line, and
Um,
he's just so quick.
Classic Norton.
Classic
Fastest
Norton
and
is right.
best line.
So I have two. So they were talking about, what we talked about a little bit about some of the things that came out of COVID, and then some of the good things that came out of COVID. And Travis said, those partitions at restaurants that separate the booths, those are really good. And Jim said, yeah, those are good, but I wish they wouldn't have. I wish they, he goes, I hate the ones they have in the men's bathroom. And Travis goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, you would like to just have the trough, the trough there." And Jim goes, "Yeah, I would just lay down in it." I'm like, "What are we talking about? This is just gross, man. It's a horrible visual."
That's
But
fine.
my favorite one was when they were talking about the truck that was dangling from the bridge in Kentucky over the river there, that rescue scene. And Travis said that it's like, man, think about how scared that female truck driver would have been that that she's probably peed her pants or something like that. And and said if that was Jim, he would immediately be worried about going to the bathroom. And Jim said quickly, "Nope, no, he wouldn't. I just do it." So we know what Jim would do in these situations, but a great reference of how concerned Jim is about using the bathroom and making sure he has a space to do it. But if you're hanging from a bridge on a truck, you're just going to go anyway.
Adding to that, I listened to a little bit of best of in the car yesterday on Thursday, and they were talking about James Cameron and like where would he go to the bathroom in a submarine? There was that, and there was something else. It was who was on? Oh God. What's his name from Riotcast? Uh,
Oh, yeah,
MMA fighter guy.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, dude. I'm
Yeah, I
tired too.
just because I didn't sleep, I can't remember. Everyone else listening probably knows who I'm talking about
Yeah,
too.
they're
But they
yelling. They're
Oh no, I'm
yelling at the
sorry. No, I'm
YouTube.
wrong. It wasn't him. That was a different thing. They had Paul Verzi on, and
Right.
Paul Verzi was talking with Jim and Sam about a situation where like where would you go to the bathroom? And it's just I love when that's all Jim worries about in situations. It's the best.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Absolutely.
you guys are the best for watching and listening. Thank you so much, and thank you, Chris, for everything you do behind the scenes as well.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for writing such great articles about, I guess we can call them our friends. Of course, Jim and Sydney this week. And you've done so many other good ones. So please check those out, everybody, because, my friend Scott here is a good writer and presents it with a little bit of inside baseball, if you will, if you're a Jim and Sam fan, for sure. So great job there.
Thanks,
It's always good when people join us here, and, feel free to go to the bathroom before you enter the town square.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Jim and Sam Town Square. Please remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell, not Doug Bell, so you don't miss an episode.
And if you're just listening to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it.